Hey, welcome to another edition of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show, our ongoing miniseries where we break down key updates and design questions straight from the development of Shade Protocol. These episodes are built around the game's community engagement series Devs Ask You, or DAUs, where Kendall and the team not only show us changing, but invite fans to shape the journey with them. Tema, a frozen graveyard of civilizations long extinguished, a place where even hope cracks like glass under the weight of memory. In this episode, we're breaking down what makes Tema more than just a snow level, but a biome built on history, decay, melancholy, and the consequences of technology. Be sure to follow us and Little Legendary on our socials and YouTube channel, and be sure to join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice directly with the dev team. Links to everything will be in the description down below, and with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time! Kendall, from the DAU for Tema, I understand that it is the frozen northern region. It's supposed to be beautiful, but yet inhospitable, layered with mechanical decay. There are ruined titans littered across the landscape. There are trees that twist into metal, or metal twisted into the trees. And the environment itself feels restless. Humanity has once sought refuge here and failed. Now Illithium spreads unchecked across the ice, reshaping the entire land into cold machinery. The enemies are deadlier than the earlier regions, and level designs lead into a more vertical movement with environmental hazards and traversal across abandoned war machines. That's a lot to unpack for just what seems like another snow area. Of course, you guys are going for more than just that, so please tell us what makes this snowy biome Tema not just another ordinary ice level.
So Tema is spectacular because it does have so many story implications to help the player kind of grasp the consequences of everything that's happened in this world. And it's a lot more than the Shade Protocol. It's a lot more than, you know, the current state of things. There's so much that we want to leave there for players to find in such a way that they can piece together the story of the world and why we are where we are, without having to give them, you know, like scrolls upon scrolls of text, you know, like many games love to do. And I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. I'm not, no hate, but for me, if you're playing a video game, you want to play. And our goal is to not have to make you sit there and read dissertations, or, you know, have like a lot of characters just doing like crazy exposition and, you know, telling you like how many kaijus they fought in the last 10 years, you know, because they just have to tell you, and nobody speaks like that, right? So what if we made an area that is full of lore, but it's something that you can enjoy in the background, something that you can enjoy in the enemies, something that as you're progressing to this area, you're kind of uncovering more and more of what happened. And there's enough space for the imagination to kind of go wild and say, wow, there's so much more to the world than where we are right now. It's definitely an area that it has crazy deep story ramifications. It's an area that you'll revisit a couple of times for multiple reasons, but it's definitely going to be the first, I would think, threat spike for the player. Getting here will definitely be a difference in terms of the mechanical responsiveness of enemies. Enemies here do stuff that they don't do places before, and the area is very, like you said, inhospitable, right? So you're dealing with we don't have right now like slidey ice and stuff like that. It's not like we couldn't have it, but that's not currently what we're going for. It's more like, you know, areas that are kind of hard to reach, and, you know, you're moving around, and it's like a lot of vertical movement. You're going up this ginormous kind of iceberg / mountain, right? And it's very, to me, very cinematic. There's a bunch of like, if you saw the second trailer, you'll see like there's huge dead robots, or, you know, are they, right? And then you get this feeling of you're going up a storyline, not just a mountain, right? It's really beautiful, at least in our minds. The bosses that we want to put there are some of the, you know, I would say really creative concepts that we're thinking about doing really early. So it's still in the first 20% of the game that you are going to see some of this, and it'll definitely feel weird compared to the rest of the world, right? We've already kind of revealed a couple of the enemies that are there, I mean, I think a couple. I think was revealed like six of them. But we've also revealed some of the basic enemies. Like there's like a mechanical squirrel and a robotic rabbit, and there's a couple of things that just feel like something's off about this area of the world. The trees, like you mentioned, are very kind of they're being taken over by this metal and kind of technology and whatnot. It's a lot to understand, but there is an entire storyline that will get you there. So yeah, in short, I would say this is the first place where we truly get to show you, the consequences of the past and what that meant for the world you're living in, and why there's more to the world than the problems you're facing. But it's not hopeless, but it's definitely an area that is like really unwelcoming, and everything is going to tell you that. Everything from the level design to the music to the snow to the enemies, like you are not welcomed here. And if you dare try, you will have to push your way through, and you'll have to try to defeat this more primal, more relentless enemy that is the Tema itself. So that's kind of how I envision it at this point.
How much inspiration have you drawn from Celeste with this?
Sadly, none.
Oh,
I
okay.
wish that and it's not because it's not definitely it's like one of those games that is just generational. But it's less about the reason why I would say sadly none. I would say because the concept is a little less about like making it like a platforming challenge for the player,
Mm.
and more about it being well, I mean, I guess it's an unfair thing to say because Celeste does have a an evolving story as you go up. So maybe it is really unfair
That's
to
why I
say that.
asked, because you
Maybe
said
yeah,
that
maybe that's
earlier, and that's why I asked.
so. Let me then reframe where I'm coming from. Um, in terms of the mechanical aspects, then that's not necessarily like it's not a Celeste biome in the terms of the mechanical
Right.
implications, right? It's not meant to be platforming heavy, even though of course there'll be you're going up, so you're definitely jumping and doing stuff. But in terms of delivering a story as you progress upwards, I think that is a great analogy. There is some of that, um, and it's less about whimsy, and it's much more about like, oh my god, like I think it's more like that. It's more like uh, what is happening
Right.
kind of vibe. But yes, we have a lot of work to do in that biome in order to get that across. But there is a lot of things that we haven't shown yet that will make that area feel even more oppressive than it sounds right now, and also just like what the hell's going on here. It's a lot of that I think we want to get across. Which I could say, Celeste has some of that for sure. Celeste did make their game a lot more. There's a lot more beauty in the known in that area. Like you're understanding what's going on as you're going up. In here, it's like a little bit of the opposite, right? There's the beauty in the unknown, and you don't quite get what's going on, and it's only getting a little worse as you're going up. But then eventually, hopefully, you will, play through the rest of the game and, slowly unveil everything that's happened, um, and try to stitch together, what does that look like? It's a very painful, I would say, it's a very painful story that I'm very proud of. It's a really good, I would say, implementation of things that you might be led to think that this is how it went down, and it's kind of a little bit of a not quite. I'm very proud of what I've written for Tema, but it's a lot more that we I am not allowed to spoil, so I'm
Right.
resisting the urge.
So I just want to make it clear before we move further. In the first trailer, everything, all the locations we see are from one location, which is Bastion Suna. And in the second trailer, we see three different locations: Bastion Suna, Tema, and a new Bastion that we will discuss in the future. From what we have seen of Tema, as we've mentioned already, there is a lot happening here. So when building Tema, what mood or or emotional response do you want the players to feel? Isolation, awe, dread. Danny Flexner, the background artist of this game, first of all, did an amazing job with everything in the game so far, of course, but he's in the chat right now, and he mentioned that there's a lot of environmental storytelling. Does that also include why Illithium is running so rampant in this area?
Yes, I mean it's definitely one of those areas that if I had to choose like a vibe, I would use oppressive for now, but I think there's probably a better word for it that I need to think a little bit more. The feeling is not that you don't feel alone. That's the fear. You're never alone, right? You
You're
feel
always watched.
like yeah, you feel like, I'm using Tema ephemerally, right? But you feel like Tema is always watching you. And you are in this land that doesn't want you here. And it will not stop until you are beneath the snow. Like it wants to, you shouldn't be here. And it's very very protective of the path, right? You're not allowed to climb, and as you are trying, it will resist you more and more. So this is the first time that I feel. I mean, in Suna, you will feel. But so Suna, we know we did it's Suna is called the world breaker, right? The bastion. So you get this idea of this like incredible bastion that is like I like to say, kind of larger than life and mechanically immense and whatnot. Whenever you start the game and everything, all the events of the beginning of the game are happening, you do feel hunted, right? That these enemies, the saviors, are hunting you down, and even into something like the wall breaker, they can find you, and you are never safe, right? They will find you. The way we portray that, like, I mean, you guys saw in the trailers, we have like scenes that you have like this war outside and all the ships, and it's just this constant fight. You're being hunted down like primally, like an animal. It is to evoke that feeling, like what if we were playing the Mavericks in the Mega Man games? So we're the bad guys in this moment in time, right? The world disagrees with us and they're hunting us down in a way. And we'll learn about that later. When you're going to Tema, it's not that. It's a lot worse. It needs to feel a lot worse. It needs to feel like now you are not like an enemy of the state. You are prey. You are being hunted by a primal hunter that will not relent. It doesn't eat, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't stop. It will hunt you until you are no longer here. So it needs to feel like that the entire way up. Does that mean that the enemies will be very unforgiving and stuff like that? Maybe. Like there's some enemies that they do stuff that you haven't seen before. Like they break your block, they grab you, things that you're going to have to deal with for the first time in a place that it's also difficult to traverse for many reasons. But then Tura has the right tools to do that, and you'll gain more in order to continue to do that. But the vibe, I would use oppressive for now, but it's this constant feeling that you're prey. And and I think at endgame, when you're at your strongest, when you are the most powerful character that you can be, you still should feel that way. Just, of course, you should get the sense of now you have the right tools to kind of deal with the threats. But we want Tema to always be a land where you are unsafe, right? And there will be other things there that will help drive that story point, and also things that will bring solace amidst you know the danger. So, like I said, it's like the second or third area, but you'll come here again. So it's not like you're getting the entire experience from one go. Um, so we have some idea of how we'll make it feel that it's getting. I wouldn't say worse, but the more access you're getting, the worse you're gonna see, right? So yeah, it's gonna hopefully oppressive is the right word, but I think we have some more some more stuff that we haven't talked about that will showcase this aspect of being hunted in a better way. We even have some enemies that we think we talked about that kind of we were thinking of like maybe creative ways of them actually hunting you through this biome, which might be a little too much, you know. So, but we do like the idea of tripling down into this theme and see what that looks like. I haven't seen it in another Metroidvania, but I'd like to try it.
Right. Well, I mean, wall masters and floor masters would be very cool to see. Just saying. Um, so I just want to take it back to the thing you said earlier. Yeah, that battle we see in the first trailer, look, or first and second trailer, really, looking out from Bastion Suna, there's this war happening right in the middle of this field or whatever. Is that Tema? Like, are we able to see Tema from Suna? Is that what that is, or that's just a different place?
It's hard to say because and the final, so something that, you know, I think this is a good question in the sense that the dream is that the answer is yes, like that will be what Tema looks like. But the problem is we as we're making more of the map, and you know, this is a good thing for game developers. You do dream of like your entire game. So in my dream, there were like 15 areas of the game. There then reality hits, right? And there's only so much you can do and you can produce. So it depends on how we end up streaming the game, that that will be Tema or not. So originally that was not meant to be Tema. That is like actually the opposite way to
Mm.
Tema. And you're seeing more of the, you know, the mountains surrounding Suna, and like, you know, this area that's meant to be really large, and you know there's more to it. But then, you know, if it probably makes more sense for us to just quote unquote turn things around and just make that like kind of the icy mountains. And you know, now that we have the second trailer and you guys saw like, you know, the the kind of the you know, the moment where, you know, we have Stana, which we revealed like the kind of like the death letter kind of zero. She shoots this thing, you know, and we there's this character that comes in and kind of bats it into a mountain. um it'd be kind of great, right, to then go into Tema, you know, and as you're going up the mountain, you
You
get to
find the
actually
crater.
see this crater, right? You
Yeah.
know, it's things like that. We want to do things like that where you feel like this moments mattered to the rest of the story. Um, and if we had the resources to make every area, then that wouldn't be the case. We would make another area where, you know, you'd see the crater, right? But um, we'll see. You know, we'll see what happens. But right now, I think the better idea is that it is Tema, and then we probably will remake some those mountains to make them more snowy and whatnot. But you know, game dev stuff for sure.
Right. And speaking of these battles, the DAU for Tema mentions colossal robots as part of the landscape. We see this in the second trailer, Zora coming out of a giant robot that's not a Bastion, significantly smaller than the Bastion, with like a spear like in its stomach or whatever in its chest. Um, are we walking through the corpses of war machines or something, or is something still alive beneath the surface of Tema?
So I would say um, it's difficult to answer that question, but I would frame it like the trailer already kind of shows us that like this is not necessarily a place of death. Like it's not necessarily as literal as that.
Mm.
This you know, this is a place. Um, what word could I use that doesn't give too much away? I think it's a memory. It's a living memory of something, of what things could be, of the horrors of you know what the consequences of our actions, right? I will call it more like that. So some of what's going on here, some of the things here, like the robot that you see in the second trailer, it's, you know, its eyes light up when you start going up the spear, right?
Yeah.
And it seems to like, you know you're there. And there's some of this in the entire area. There's some of this like I can say like, you know, um, I'm saying this like not literally, but you know, it's in the walls, like it's in the ice, it's everywhere. Like this, there is this thing everywhere. These this memory that is all around you that you will get to experience, from robots that maybe are like half destroyed but somewhat alive, to some that are like maybe fully destroyed, and then some other thing might be happening to them. And it's this entire area. It's not only about colossal robots, of course. There's
Mm.
many, like the ones that we've shown that are smaller. There's all kinds of stuff in here, but it definitely feels like a place that you know um, too much went wrong. Too much went wrong here, and this robot that you see has a very, very big spear in its chest. That wasn't like he tripped and fell, right? Like something happened, and there was there was more to this moment, but we just don't know how long this thing has been there. We showed a little bit of the decay. We showed like it's covered in snow, so it didn't happen yesterday. But whenever it happened, this one thing that you guys got to see, it's still alive, and who knows if it's in pain, right? So that is a little bit of what's going on in this area, and we'll get to see a lot more of that. So I think it's like there is a you know there are memories in the snow. There's memories in the ice, and you'll get to lift some of that in its current state. And hopefully people will figure out what happened here. We will give you all the ways to find out, but we won't force it on you. So
Mm.
explore. You know, put together the environmental clues, and eventually we'll tell you enough that it should be clear enough what happened and how it went down. But yeah, it'll require research and exploration and an effort to unveil what happened for sure. But to answer your question, a lot of there are definitely living things around here, and that's like already an interesting problem to deal with, right? Are they friendly? Can you talk to them? Are they evil? Do they hit you? Like what's up? So we'll see. We'll see more of that as you explore.
This has been another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show. Want to help what Shade Protocol becomes? Join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice with the dev team directly. Go follow Shade Protocol on Kickstarter, and if you like this breakdown, check out our past spotlights and interviews with Kendall right here on the Razzle Dazzle Show. Remember, the future of Emeria is still being written.